In this environment, the media is not merely an observer of economic developments or events. You are a transmitter of confidence, a shaper of sentiment, and often unknowingly, a participant in market dynamics. How the actions of the Bank of Ghana are reported, how they are explained, framed, and contextualized has real consequences for households, businesses, and investors, indeed for all of us. This afternoon, I will speak about media reportage on the Bank of Ghana's operations and its impact on the market, and why accuracy, balance, and context matter. In this case, not for the Bank of Ghana, but for the whole country. Specifically, I will touch on the unique position of central banks generally, but in this case, the Bank of Ghana. I will also touch on media reporting and market behavior. Before doing this, I would like to start with the policy context, because in this particular case, as you will all agree, context really matters. To understand the Bank of Ghana's recent actions, we must recall the environment in which these were undertaken. The economy at the beginning of 2025 was emerging from a period of profound stress. Inflation had become embedded. Confidence had weakened, and market signals were distorted. Indeed, for many households, prices felt unpredictable. For businesses, planning became difficult, and expectations, the invisible force behind economic decisions, was very fragile. In such conditions, central banking becomes more than technical adjustment. It becomes an exercise of rebuilding trust. Trust is rebuilt only slowly, through consistency, discipline, and communication that is honest, even when the message is not comfortable. In other words, even if the message is uncomfortable, you still have to confront it. Throughout this period, the bank remained anchored to its mandate: price stability, financial stability, and orderly operation of our markets. These are not abstract goals. They determine whether wages hold value, whether savings are protected, and whether businesses can plan with confidence. We need to also understand the unique role of the central bank, and here I now speak just a little about this. Central banks occupy a unique place in national life. We are public institutions acting on behalf of citizens, yet operationally independent and insulated from the short-term political pressures. We regulate banks, manage the national currency, provide banking services to government, and serve customers serve as custodians of financial stability. And because of this role, how our actions are interpreted and reported matters profoundly. Sensationalism can amplify anxiety. Incomplete context can distort understanding. But importantly, responsible reporting can stabilize expectations and strengthen confidence. This is not about silencing criticism. It is about recognizing that in macroeconomics, perception often precedes reality. I move to media reporting and market behavior. I'll just say a few words on this as well. Nowhere is this more evident than in the foreign exchange market. Now, Ghana operates a managed floating exchange rate regime. Daily movements small appreciations or depreciations are normal under this framework. They actually reflect trading, not crisis. Yet, when such movements are reported without context, they can trigger fear-driven behavior. People rush to protect value, demand surges unnecessarily, volatility increases, and confidence in the currency weakens. Not because the fundamentals would have changed, but just because sentiment has. In this sense, reporting itself becomes a market signal that has to be carefully watched. But when reporting is measured and contextual, the opposite happens. Calm is reinforced and rational behavior prevails. Markets function effectively and efficiently. Let me say a few words again on why currency stability must be seen as a shared national gain. I would like to emphasize this clearly, that currency stability is not an abstract macroeconomic achievement. When the cedi stabilizes, import prices ease, transport costs moderate, school fees, rent, medicines, food become more predictable. In other words, there's a whole, there's an improved level of certainty within the price setting area that removes a big deadweight burden in terms of pricing in the economy. Now, businesses can price their products with confidence. Investors can plan. Workers, like all of us, can save without fear that our earnings will lose value overnight. In 2025 specifically, the cedi ended the year significantly stronger, reflecting improved fundamentals, disciplined policy, and growing confidence in the framework. This was not a victory for the central bank alone. It indeed was a shared national gain. And I'm sure I heard the MC actually mentioning some of this and how they monitor the trends on the market. And again, I also pay attention to, for the most part, our morning shows when it gets to the financial markets. There's a friend here I am also seeing for the first time from one of the main stations who will sometimes even say he expects the cedi to come to 8. But I'm sure there are also some other effects or consequences that can come with that as well. Now, and just as instability hurts everyone, stability also benefits everyone. This is why protecting the cedi is not the task of one institution. It is a collective responsibility of policymakers, businesses, households, and yes, the media in particular. You have a big role to play in the scheme of things, and I will say this directly just before I conclude. Your coverage during the cedi at 60 campaign demonstrated this power aptly. By reinforcing responsible currency handling and national ownership of the cedi, your reporting helped turn policy into public action. I will also say a few words on a vexed issue, central bank losses, and why these should also be seen in context. Similarly, when central bank losses are reported, context is equally important. Central banks across the world can incur losses when taking decisive actions to stabilize their economies during periods of crisis especially. These outcomes reflect policy choices in the public interest and not financial recklessness. When this distinction is not clearly explained, public trust can be eroded. Yet, trust is the very foundation upon which monetary policy rests. In all of this, the trust of policy must not be lost on us. Inflation fell sharply in 2025, reserves were rebuilt aggressively, and the city strengthened. These are the results that ultimately matter to citizens. And here again, I refer to the expectation of a segment of our media that we still even need appreciation because in their view, it affects the pricing of petroleum products in particular. I could probably mention the case of Mr. Winston Amwa, who talks about this every morning, the effect of the currency on pricing of petroleum products. So this is where we are and the importance of some of these macro variables on everyone. I will have to emphasize in closing that every headline that you do matters. That every story sends a signal, and that every analysis shapes expectations. The question is not whether the media should report the Bank of Ghana or report on the Bank of Ghana. You actually must do, but the question is how. You must also ask some questions, and here I just mention a few. Does the story illuminate or inflame? Does it build understanding or amplify fear? Does it strengthen confidence or unintentionally weaken it? We deeply respect media freedom, but we also recognize that freedom comes with responsibility.
In 1965, Ghana chose her own value. From cowries and pounds, the city was born. Our pride in our own hands. It flowed through markets, palms, and memories, and became part of daily life. Through every season of change, the city has remained a constant in Ghanaian life. In 2007, we took a bold step, ushering in a new era of confidence and stability. Today, the city lives in banks, markets, and apps, rooted in tradition, shaped by history, carried by innovation. 60 years on, it remains our heritage, our identity, our pride. Know the city. Keep it clean. In 1965, Ghana chose her own value. From cowries and pounds, the city was born. Our pride in our own hands. It flowed through markets, palms, and memories, and became part of daily life. Through every season of change, the city has remained a constant in Ghanaian life. In 2007, we took a bold step, ushering in a new era of confidence and stability. Today, the city lives in banks, markets, and apps, rooted in tradition, shaped by history, carried by innovation. 60 years on, it remains our heritage, our identity, our pride. Know the city. Keep it clean. In 1965, Ghana chose.
Then, I dare you to date God for reasons.
I will get them.
You go get you.
I will get them.
So we can sit here more than 1 hour or close to 1 hour. If you only ask Abia, I go fit up.
You know my friend, Alpha. Well, he wants to go on a date with you.
You're kidding, right?
Oh, I'm serious.
No.
And assess risks to the outlook in terms of inflation and growth. And this briefing, just as the past ones, summarizes the key discussions and the committee's decision on the monetary policy rate. So first, in the global context, growth has held steady despite major policy shifts supported by easing financial conditions and fiscal stimulus in many countries. Notwithstanding the steady growth conditions, the outlook remains fragile amid a still volatile trade environment and ongoing geopolitical tensions. Global headline inflation has eased further on the back of lower energy and food prices. However, the pace of ease in inflation remains uneven, especially for countries adversely impacted by the volatile trade environment. The ease in global financing conditions since April 2025, driven in part by declining long-term bond yields and stronger equity markets, has helped moderate external financing risks. Central banks are monitoring these developments closely, and policy decisions in the months ahead will be driven by incoming data, especially on the trajectory of inflation. Now, on the domestic front, growth continues to gain momentum. Following the strong GDP outturn of 6.3% in the first half of the year, the monthly indicator of economic growth, recently released by the Ghana Statistical Service,
and welcome. Today, we are diving into Ghana's bold journey to reform the microfinance sector. Our purpose, simple, to give you a shortcut to understanding this critical financial landscape and unpack the comprehensive set of reform measures designed to transform the sector. These reforms align with the National Microfinance Policy Initiative referenced by the Minister of Finance in the 2026 National. The whole idea is to address current market failures in the microfinance sector and build a financial ecosystem that's more resilient, more inclusive, one that can really restore public trust and drive growth.
Let's start by digging into the challenges this reform is trying to solve.
The sector is highly fragmented, with many small, undercapitalized institutions lacking the strength to absorb shocks or adapt to the fast-changing banking environment. Governance and management often weak. Most institutions are in the form of mom and pop setups with poor internal controls, which are not suitable for commercial deposit taking and lending business. What about mission drift? Many institutions today have moved away from their original inclusion business models towards commensurate lending and high interest rates, imposing unsustainable burdens on vulnerable clients. Several institutions consistently face reporting and accounting difficulties due to lack of basic internal banking system requirements, while the same or others are stuck in operational inertia, barely growing and simply hanging on in the system with no clear vision or exit ways. These deep structural and operational weaknesses have created a fragile ecosystem marked by persistent losses and eroded public trust.
Just look at these numbers. Back in 2017, the microfinance sector held more than 15% of all banking assets in Ghana.
Fast forward to 2024, and that share has plummeted to just over 8%. Losing nearly half your market share in just 7 years is a huge red flag that deep structural and operational challenges are at play. So what we are working with is the 2011 4-tiered framework. Everything from rural and community banks, savings and loans companies, finance houses, deposit and non-deposit taking microfinance institutions, financial NGOs, and all the way down to individual microcredit lenders and traditional susu collectors. And here's the crucial point about that framework. Its original intent was to solve a very specific problem at the time. There was a rise in unlicensed operators taking advantage of the public. The 2011 framework was designed specifically to identify and categorize players in the sector, formalize and bring oversight to the operations, and most importantly, protect consumers. This reform isn't starting from zero. It's about learning from what works in peer countries and building a better system for Ghana. Here is an important starting fact. Microfinance is a powerful idea. It has helped millions escape poverty, finance education, help businesses and assets.
It's a key enabler and instrumental tool for achieving several of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
So, extensive studies were conducted across West and East Africa, the US, Canada, India, the EU, and several others. They aim to critically examine and compare microfinance system globally and draw the best lessons for designing the next chapter of Ghana's microfinance sector. What were the big lessons from these global examples? What works in microfinance and what doesn't? The analysis pointed to 3 broad types of institutions operating at the lower end of the banking sector globally. First, market-oriented microfinance institutions, commercially driven, deposit-taking, borrowing to finance operations. Second, socially oriented models, think credit unions or SACCOs, member-owned, community-driven, offering dividends, low interest, and flexible lending. Third, hybrid models, rural or community banks, blending commercial goals with social impact, deeply rooted in local communities. What about adoption patterns across countries? For market-oriented models, the data shows 2 distinct paths. Some countries like Ghana and Nigeria pursued mass licensing approaches, creating fragmented landscapes with numerous small institutions struggling to meet regulatory and prudential standards, amplifying systemic risk. In contrast, countries like Kenya adopted consolidated models with only few heavily capitalized and deeply integrated microfinance banks. The strategy: keep numbers small but institutions strong, enabling easier enforcement of regulatory and supervisory rules. For socially oriented cooperative models, the contrast is stark. Credit union penetration exceeds 65% in the US and covers more than 1/3 of Kenya's population. Ghana, which pioneered this movement in Africa, lags at just under 5%. That represents a huge amount of untapped potential for cooperative-based financial inclusion. The study also drew fascinating lessons from hybrid models. Take the United States, for example. A staggering 92% of all banks there are community banks. These locally owned institutions are vital, serving over half of all small businesses and demonstrating how commercial focus can successfully blend with deep community roots. And this and the development of the microfinance sector correlates with broader financial indicators. For example, Kenya's credit to GDP ratio is about 32.5% compared to Ghana's 9.3%, and its deposit to GDP ratio is more than double that of Ghana. Kenya also enjoys lower interest rates and has consistently maintained single-digit inflation. This suggests a direct link between high penetration of the right microfinance model, its ability to mobilize savings, extend credit, and create opportunities for citizens across the economy. It shows what's possible when the right framework is in place. Boiling these global lessons down, you arrive at 4 key ideas for a successful microfinance ecosystem ecosystem. 1. Design a framework that deliberately balances institutional categories to serve different market segments considering their business models and market characteristics. 2. Drive consolidation and modernization of existing institutions to make them stronger, better governed, and operationally efficient. 3. Promote population penetration through indigenous participation, not only as customers but also as co-owners, providing multiple income streams, dedicated funding, and ease of doing business with commensurate institutions. 4. Build a system supported by strategic industry-level institutional support and centralized services to improve operational efficiency, improve wholesale support, and facilitate policy flow. This brings us to the heart of the proposal, a complete redesign of Ghana's microfinance architecture. And here it is, the new system. Each category has a distinct and complementary role. You've got microfinance banks, community banks, credit unions, and last mile providers. Each targets a specific market segment and plays a clear role in this new financial ecosystem. First up, microfinance banks. Think of these as the consolidated commercial engine of the sector. The big idea is to enhance or merge many of today's small, weak, market-oriented microfinance players into fewer, stronger microfinance banks. This means more capital, better governance, more expertise, enhanced operations, and the ability to properly finance small and medium-sized businesses. And this idea of consolidation is based on current market dynamics, what's already happening in the sector. Currently, the top 10 institutions across the existing categories control about 75% or more of the total assets, deposits, and credits. The reform builds on this, creating fewer but better capitalized and governed institutions that are stable and competitive. Current owners must join forces and work for the collective good. Next, community banks. This is about upgrading the old rural bank model for the 21st century. The vision is for them to become truly local, Ghanaian-owned banking anchors, serving both urban and rural areas with modern banking and a focus on community development. They will mobilize street and area-level economic activities, integrate communities into the national financial architecture, and address financial exclusion in both urban and rural areas. Cities, towns, and villages that can own and support community bank will be given the opportunity to do so once they meet the necessary requirements. Third, the plan is to finally unlock the incredible potential of credit unions. How? The Bank of Ghana will for the first time begin licensing and supervising the credit unions based on set thresholds. The aim is to better integrate them into the financial ecosystem and to enable them extend their social and economic reach in a responsible manner. Encourage identifiable work, professional, trade, farm, faith, and other homogeneous groups to form viable financial cooperatives that serve their interests. Finally, last mile providers, Susu collectors, small finance NGOs, VSLAs, etc. The approach here is light touch. Organize them into associations and cooperatives to provide consumer protection and accountability. Holding this entire structure together is a crucial proposal to retool the Apex Bank. ARB Apex Bank Limited was established to enhance the operational efficiency of rural and community banks and deepen financial inclusion. Its current mandate confines assistance to RCBs, leaving other microfinance peers without access to essential services and infrastructure. Under the new architecture, the Apex Bank's mandate will extend to all categories within the sector. It will be recapitalized and restructured as a strategic sector-wide financial intermediary, delivering centralized banking services and managing payments and clearing, reserves, fund management, and liquidity support. It will consolidate stakeholder and institutional support and facilitate the transmission of monetary, fiscal, and financial inclusion policies. The goal is to position it as a strategic policy tool for sector efficiency, stability, and development. When you put all these pieces together, the new structure and the restructured Apex Bank, what's the ultimate vision? This is not just a regulatory tweak. It's a vision for a new finance and economic reality in Ghana. It is about a financial system that people can trust, a system that guarantees operational resilience and deep participation, where economic policy works better and where capital flows to millions of small businesses and informal workers, the true engine of the economy. The blueprint is here. It is ambitious, comprehensive, and based on what works around the world. But the real test will be execution. Can this new architecture build trust and unlock Ghana's finance and economic potential? The answer will shape the country's future for years to come. And welcome. Today, we are diving into Ghana's bold journey to reform the microfinance sector. Our purpose? Simple, to give you a shortcut to understanding this critical financial landscape and unpack the comprehensive set of reform measures designed to transform the sector. These reforms align with the National Microfinance Policy Initiative referenced by the Minister of Finance in the 2026 National Budget. The whole idea is to address current market failures in the microfinance sector and build a financial ecosystem that's more resilient, more inclusive, one that can really restore public trust and drive growth.
Let's start by digging into the challenges this reform is trying to solve.
The sector is highly fragmented, with many small, undercapitalized institutions lacking the strength to absorb shocks or adapt to the fast-changing banking environment. Governance and management often weak. Most institutions are in the form of mom and pop setups with poor internal controls, which are not suitable for commercial deposit taking and lending business. What about mission drift? Many institutions today have moved away from their original inclusion business models towards incommensurate lending and high interest rates, imposing unsustainable burdens on vulnerable clients. Several institutions consistently face reporting and accounting difficulties due to lack of basic internal banking system requirements, while the same or others are stuck in operational inertia, barely growing and simply hanging on in the system with no clear vision or exit ways. These deep structural and operational weaknesses have created a fragile ecosystem marked by persistent losses and eroded public trust.
Just look at these numbers. Back in 2017, the microfinance sector held more than 15% of all banking assets in Ghana.
Fast forward to 2024, and that share has plummeted to just over 8%. Losing nearly half your market share in just 7 years is a huge red flag that deep structural and operational challenges are at play. So what we are working with is the 2011 4-tiered framework. Everything from rural and community banks, savings and loans companies, finance houses, deposit and non-deposit taking microfinance institutions, financial NGOs, and all the way down to individual microcredit lenders and traditional susu collectors. And here's the crucial point about that framework. Its original intent was to solve a very specific problem at the time. There was a rise in unlicensed operators taking advantage of the public. The 2011 framework was designed specifically to identify and categorize players in the sector, formalize and bring oversight to their operations, and most importantly, protect consumers. This reform isn't starting from zero. It's about learning from what works in peer countries and building a better system for Ghana. Here is an important starting fact. Microfinance is a powerful idea. It has helped millions escape poverty, finance education, help businesses and assets.
It's a key enabler and instrumental tool for achieving several of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
So, extensive studies were conducted across West and East Africa, the US, Canada, India, the EU, and several others. They aim to critically examine and compare microfinance system globally and draw the best lessons for designing the next chapter of Ghana's microfinance sector. What were the big lessons from these global examples? What works in microfinance and what doesn't? The analysis pointed to three broad types of institutions operating at the lower end of the banking sector globally. First, market-oriented microfinance institutions, commercially driven, deposit-taking, borrowing to finance operations. Second, socially oriented models, think credit unions or SACCOs, member-owned, community-driven, offering dividends, low interest, and flexible lending. Third, hybrid models, rural or community banks, blending commercial goals with social impact, deeply rooted in local communities. What about adoption patterns across countries? For market-oriented models, the data shows two distinct paths. Some countries like Ghana and Nigeria pursued mass licensing approaches, creating fragmented landscapes with numerous small institutions struggling to meet regulatory and prudential standards, amplifying systemic risk. In contrast, countries like Kenya adopted consolidated models with only few heavily capitalized and deeply integrated microfinance banks. The strategy: keep numbers small but institutions strong, enabling easier enforcement of regulatory and supervisory rules. For socially oriented cooperative models, the contrast is stark. Credit union penetration exceeds 65% in the US and covers more than 1/3 of Kenya's population. Ghana, which pioneered this movement in Africa, lags at just under 5%. That represents a huge amount of untapped potential for cooperative-based financial inclusion. The study also drew fascinating lessons from hybrid models. Take the United States, for example. A staggering 92% of all banks there are community banks. These locally owned institutions are vital, serving over half of all small businesses and demonstrating how commercial focus can successfully blend with deep community roots. And this underdevelopment of the microfinance sector correlates with broader financial indicators. For example, Kenya's credit to GDP ratio is about 32.5% compared to Ghana's 9.3%, and its deposit to GDP ratio is more than double that of Ghana. Kenya also enjoys lower interest rates and has consistently maintained single-digit inflation. This suggests a direct link between high penetration of the right microfinance model, its ability to mobilize savings, extend credit, and create opportunities for citizens across the economy. It shows what's possible when the right framework is in place. Boiling these global lessons down, you arrive at 4 key ideas for a successful microfinance ecosystem. 1. Design a framework that deliberately balances institutional categories to serve different market segments, considering their business models and market characteristics. 2. Drive consolidation and modernization of existing institutions to make them stronger, better governed, and operationally efficient. 3. Promote population penetration through indigenous participation, not only as customers but also as co-owners, providing multiple income streams, dedicated funding, and ease of doing business with commensurate institutions. 4. Build a system supported by strategic industry-level institutional support and centralized services to improve operational efficiency, improve wholesale support, and facilitate policy flow. This brings us to the heart of the proposal, a complete redesign of Ghana's microfinance architecture. And here it is, the new system. Each category has a distinct and complementary role. You've got microfinance banks, community banks, credit unions, and last mile providers. Each targets a specific market segment and plays a clear role in this new financial ecosystem. First up, microfinance banks. Think of these as the consolidated commercial engine of the sector. The big idea is to enhance or merge many of today's small, weak, market-oriented microfinance players into fewer, stronger microfinance banks. This means more capital, better governance, more expertise, enhanced operations, and the ability to properly finance small and medium-sized businesses. And this idea of consolidation is based on current market dynamics, what's already happening in the sector. Currently, the top 10 institutions across the existing categories control about 75% or more of the total assets, deposits, and credits. The reform builds on this, creating fewer but better capitalized and governed institutions that are stable and competitive. Current owners must join forces and work for the collective good. Next, community banks. This is about upgrading the old rural bank model for the 21st century. The vision is for them to become truly local, Ghanaian-owned banking anchors, serving both urban and rural areas with modern banking and a focus on community development. They will mobilize street and area-level economic activities, integrate communities into the national financial architecture, and address financial exclusion in both urban and rural areas. Cities, towns, and villages that can own and support community bank will be given the opportunity to do so once they meet the necessary requirements. Third, the plan is to finally unlock the incredible potential of credit unions. How? The Bank of Ghana will for the first time begin licensing and supervising the credit unions based on set thresholds. The aim is to better integrate them into the financial ecosystem and to enable them extend their social and economic reach in a responsible manner. Encourage identifiable work, professional, trade, farm, faith, and other homogeneous groups to form viable financial cooperatives that serve their interests. Finally, last mile providers, Susu collectors, small finance NGOs, VSLAs, etc. The approach here is light touch. Organize them into associations and cooperatives to provide consumer protection and accountability. Holding this entire structure together is a crucial proposal to retool the Apex Bank. ARB Apex Bank Limited was established to enhance the operational efficiency of rural and community banks and deepen financial inclusion. Its current mandate confines assistance to RCBs, leaving other microfinance peers without access to essential services and infrastructure. Under the new architecture, the Apex Bank's mandate will extend to all categories within the sector. It will be recapitalized and restructured as a strategic sector-wide financial intermediary, delivering centralized banking services and managing payments and clearing, reserves, fund management, and liquidity support. It will consolidate stakeholder and institutional support and facilitate the transmission of monetary, fiscal, and financial inclusion policies. The goal is to position it as a strategic policy tool for sector efficiency, stability, and development. When you put all these pieces together, the new structure and the restructured Apex Bank, what's the ultimate vision? This is not just a regulatory tweak. It's a vision for a new finance and economic reality in Ghana. It is about a financial system that people can trust, a system that guarantees operational resilience and deep participation, where economic policy works better and where capital flows to millions of small businesses and informal workers, the true engine of the economy. The blueprint is here. It is ambitious, comprehensive, and based on what works around the world. But the real test will be execution. Can this new architecture build trust and unlock Ghana's finance and economic potential? The answer will shape the country's future for years to come. and welcome. Today, we are diving into Ghana's bold journey to reform the microfinance sector. Our purpose, simple, to give you a shortcut to understanding this critical financial landscape and unpack the comprehensive set of reform measures designed to transform the sector. These reforms align with the National Microfinance Policy Initiative referenced by the Minister of Finance in the 2026 National Budget. The whole idea is to address current market failures in the microfinance sector and build a financial ecosystem that's more resilient, more inclusive, one that can really restore public trust and drive growth.
Let's start by digging into the challenges this reform is trying to solve.
The sector is highly fragmented, with many small, undercapitalized institutions lacking the strength to absorb shocks or adapt to the fast-changing banking environment. Governance and management often weak. Most institutions are in the form of mom and pop setups with poor internal controls which are not suitable for commercial deposit taking and lending business. What about mission drift? Many institutions today have moved away from their original inclusion business models towards incommensurate lending and high interest rates, imposing unsustainable burdens on vulnerable clients.
The Muninas, Papa Yaton Safra, Juma, what dear? Sikan said your battle more. Baby, a wire drew. And a dear Wabaya, more challenges. Obekening in our children. I'm a Ghana phone swats, Yama. I'm on country and says Sikano, Mao Munini fee. Says Sikano, we any fear. The Sikane Jessica, the one sword, and some year my year. Temaria Okukurabua, Betty Aquay, and no one I'm say, and the Asmamio, Samimana. I mean, my first Pravano Tata, and my flower say, I'm going to Franciano Patutu. Bamene, oh, Mena Sabra. Timeton Safro, Sagana in Nebetio, Yanianum Sancha for so. Aya Crado, Yaya Dizano. Aya, Memphis, what I was.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome Dr. Johnson Pandit Esiama, the governor of the Bank of Ghana. Please let's rise as he gets to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Opini Atu. Okay, please take your seats. I hope you are enjoying this get together. It's a very special one for me. But before I begin, may I ask you to help me observe a minute silence in honor of one of yourselves, a member of the media whom we lost about 2 weeks ago. He was buried last weekend, Mr. Elom Desewu. I'm sure some of you know him. Elom has been a very active media person for many, many years since I knew him. He took particular interest in the work of the Bank of Ghana. And it is regrettable that he has had to leave early. So may we observe just a minute's silence? A minute's silence, please. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Thank you. So, distinguished members of the media here gathered, colleagues from the Bank of Ghana, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. And let me begin by wishing you a happy New Year. This annual engagement with the media has become an important tradition for the Bank of Ghana. It offers an opportunity not only to reflect on the year that has just ended, but also to situate our work within the broader national conversation. As this is my first New Year media engagement as governor, I value the opportunity to speak with you directly and to set the tone for how we will continue to engage going forward. Now, let me be frank. The year 2025 was not an easy one. It required difficult judgments. It required careful sequencing of policy actions, and it required sustained discipline across institutions. 2025 was a year of adjustment for the economy, for markets, and for households. And indeed, there were many of these. We've had to pass some new laws. We have amended some. We had to introduce new guidelines for the markets. We have broadened the frontiers for financial intermediation, all within 1 year. So through it all, the media, that is yourselves, you've played an essential role in helping Ghanaians to understand what was happening and why certain difficult choices were being made and what those choices were intended to achieve. And for playing that role throughout last year, I say thank you. Now, on the role of the media in a period of adjustment, Dr. Zakaria has spoken at length on this, but permit me to just run through a few points. A free, independent, and responsible media is a cornerstone of democratic governance. In the context of a central bank, your role is particularly important. Monetary and financial policy decisions are often complex. And yes, they are complex. Their effects are often indirect, and their benefits are rarely immediate, what we call policy lags. The way these decisions are explained, the way they are contextualized, and the way they are reported can therefore influence expectations, it can influence confidence, and it can influence behavior across the economy. Scrutiny is not only legitimate, it is necessary. Constructive questioning strengthens institutions and it improves public understanding. At the same time, we all recognize that economic information carries weight. In periods of adjustment, incomplete or poorly contextualized reporting can unintentionally heighten uncertainty or undermine confidence, with real consequences for households and businesses. Our expectation as a central bank, therefore, is not compliance, but responsibility, i.e., accuracy, balance, and context. Our commitment, in return, is openness, engagement, and respect for your constitutional role. That balance, my friends, is essential. And it is essential to financial stability and to public trust. So now let me tell you a few things about how we think about policy at the Bank of Ghana. First, our decisions are data-driven and forward-looking. We do not respond to pressure, we do not respond to speculation, and we do not respond to sentiment. We respond to evidence. We respond to risks. And we respond to the medium-term outlook for price and financial stability. Second, we prioritize stability over speed. In rebuilding credibility and restoring order, quick fixes in many cases are rarely durable. Our focus has been on policies that can be sustained even when they are uncomfortable in the short term. Third, we operate an institution not as individuals. Central banking is collective. It is disciplined work, and decisions are taken through established frameworks, informed by analysis, debates, and yes, we do have lots of debates in-house, as well as professional judgment. These principles, colleagues, guided our actions in 2025, and these same principles will continue to guide us in this year, 2026. So what did 2025 represent? For the Bank of Ghana, 2025 was a year of restoration, restoring macroeconomic stability, rebuilding confidence in policy, and re-establishing order across key segments of the financial system. At the macroeconomic level, the bank's foremost priority was anchoring inflation expectations and restoring stability. Through disciplined monetary tightening, effective liquidity management, and clear policy communication, inflation declined steadily from 23.8% in December 2024 down to 5.4% by the end of December 2025, with underlying price pressures easing over the course of the year. These outcomes reflected consistency in policy execution and a deliberate focus on restoring credibility to the monetary policy framework. In the banking sector, we made solid progress in strengthening resilience and supervisory effectiveness. Regulatory reforms were advanced to improve risk identification and mitigation, including enhanced stress testing, stronger recovery planning requirements, and refinements to the risk-based supervisory framework. Engagement with regulatory institutions and collaboration with fellow regulators were also strengthened, reinforcing the foundations of a more stable and a more disciplined banking system. Progress was also made in capital market development, particularly in advancing discussions around bank listings, and working with market regulators and stakeholders. The bank supported efforts to encourage greater use of public markets as a means of strengthening governance, transparency, and market discipline within the financial sector. In the foreign exchange market, 2025 marked an important shift toward greater transparency and order. The bank implemented a rules-based FX auction framework, strengthened market oversight, and we introduced improved reporting mechanisms as well as enforcing compliance to curb market abuse. These measures contributed to improved price discovery, reduced distortions, and a gradual restoration of confidence in the FX markets. Now, the bank's gold programs also played a strategic role during the year. Through the domestic gold purchase program, external buffers were strengthened, FX pressures were moderated, and confidence in Ghana's external position improved. As a result,
Gross international reserves rose to over $13.8 billion US dollars, equivalent to approximately 5.7 months of imports cover. This was historic. I've not seen such levels since I joined the central bank way back in 1995. Now, while these programs involved costs, they delivered tangible stability benefits and should be understood as strategic interventions that were undertaken in support of macroeconomic and external resilience. On the legislative front, significant institutional reforms were secured. Parliament passed the Bank of Ghana Amendment Bill 2025, strengthening central bank independence, enhancing accountability, and reinforcing safeguards around central bank financing of government. And that piece of new legislation is an important one. If we had that in 2022, maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't have had haircuts. We would have been compelled probably to seek help from the IMF more timely. And today the result would have been different. And so with those amendments, we believe that we are better positioned going forward. These reforms represent an important step in aligning Ghana's central banking framework with international best practice. In payments and digital finance also, notable progress was recorded in strengthening infrastructure and system resilience. Through GIPS, GIPS, by the way, is one of our subsidiaries. Through GIPS, payment systems were modernized, instant payment capabilities expanded, and interoperability across platforms improved. Then the passage of the Virtual Asset Services Bill, which has now been passed into law, also marked an important milestone, laying the foundation for a regulated and orderly approach to emerging digital asset activities. So taken together, these efforts helped restore macroeconomic stability, improve coordination between monetary and fiscal authorities, and place the economy on a firmer footing. The gains were hard-won and achieved through discipline, restraint, and institutional effort. They carry with them a responsibility to protect stability, to act with humility, and to remain faithful to the public trust placed in the Bank of Ghana. So what is the direction of travel for 2026? Friends, with stability restored now, 2026 is about consolidation and discipline. The bank's focus this year is to embed the reforms of the past period into routine practice and ensure that stability translates into durable confidence, effective intimidation, and predictable markets. Monetary policy will remain measured and forward-looking, anchored on price stability and supported by clear signaling and consistent liquidity management. The objective is not to surprise markets, but to reinforce credibility through continuity. In the financial sector, supervisory attention will shift further toward prevention rather than cure. Greater emphasis will be placed on governance, on the quality of governance, capital and liquidity planning, and early risk identification, ensuring that vulnerabilities are addressed before they threaten stability. In the financial markets, the priority is consolidation in 2026. Recent reforms will be deepened to support orderly price discovery, disciplined market conduct, and improved confidence across the foreign exchange and money markets. In payments and digital finance, attention will focus on resilience and safeguards as usage continues to expand. Oversight will be strengthened to ensure consumer protection, sound governance, and system reliability, while innovation proceeds within clear regulatory boundaries. Finally, 2026 will mark a transition in how national strategic initiatives are anchored. Programs introduced during the period of adjustment, including those related to gold, will move toward more sustainable institutional and fiscal arrangements, ensuring shared responsibility and long-term viability. Across all areas, the emphasis this year is quality over quantity. Strong institutions, disciplined markets, and policies that endure. My friends, it is important to remember that behind every policy decision are real people. Real people, we are talking about households that are managing rising costs. We're talking about businesses that are navigating uncertainty. And we're talking about workers that are concerned about jobs and also concerned about their incomes. Therefore, trade-offs are unavoidable, and no decision is taken by us lightly. Our responsibility is to act in the long term public interest, even when the short-term choices are difficult. Trust in a central bank is built not by promises, but by consistency, by transparency, and by integrity over time. So how do we strengthen our partnership as we look ahead? My friends, as we look into 2026 and beyond, we are committed to deepening our collaboration with you, the media. We will expand our media training programs, and I'm sure you are aware of these, and we will introduce a dedicated forum for editors, for producers, for presenters, and the many behind-the-scenes professionals whose work shapes the news and content that we consume, even though they may not appear on the visible or audible stages alongside our regular press call. In addition, we will launch an internal recognition initiative. We are calling it the Governor's Economic and Financial Story of the Year. This is to encourage accurate and insightful reporting on economic matters and Bank of Ghana stories throughout the year. And this initiative aims to inspire creativity and innovation in storytelling across both print and digital platforms. I want to encourage all of you to take up this challenge, and may the best media house emerge victorious. The winning journalist, let me remind you, the winning journalist will be sponsored to attend the IMF World Bank meetings. So through our communications department, the bank will continue to engage proactively on all media-related matters, ensuring that our friends in the press feel welcomed, that they feel supported, and that they are confident whenever called upon to help us share our messages with the public. My friends, as we gather today, let us enjoy this occasion and create lasting memories together. I sincerely thank you for your partnership with the Bank of Ghana over the past year, and your steadfast dedication, and above all, your service to our great country. I eagerly look forward to building even stronger bonds with you in 2026 and beyond. Thank you for your attention.
A round of applause for the governor, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Please, let's do it better for the governor, please. Thank you so much, Dr. Esiama. And Maria, please join me. Now, Doc, to learn from Osei Kranchi, I'm going to summarize what you just said, or how I heard it. But Osei Kranchi gave us a new name for you, and I'm trying to give you a full name. If we were to create a stool for you in the kingdom of monetary policy, you'll be a woman for Yohaniba Asaribediako Okukurubo Isiama the First.
A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Where did that come from?
Well, when Kranchi was performing, he was giving us the roots of the names, right? And Doctor is a woman for Johnson is Yohaniba. Then if you add the Asaribediako, you add the title Okukurubo Isiama Odikai the First.
I think it's very well deserved, and we need a stool, and then we would get some kente, and then get everything
we'll put the
done.
curry around it.
I believe so.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Thank you so much. Now, the governor talked about 2025. He said it was not an easy year. It was a year of discipline. It was a year of adjustments. And decisions by the bank are data-driven and forward-looking. We don't bow to pressure, but we strategically and patiently make thoughtful decisions that drive stability and drive growth. And he mentioned something that we discussed on the Super Morning Show about a week ago, that the inflation we've seen is the most phenomenal in the past 25 years or so. From 33% to a single digit, that is phenomenal. And on banking, he said resilience and supervisory effectiveness is what the Bank of Ghana is using to consolidate the gains we've made so far, and they are collaborating with fellow regulators. I remember the work of the Bank of Ghana with SEC, for example, when it comes to crowdfunding, has enabled a lot of startups in the agri space to raise money to support farmers. When I used to do crowdfunding, we raised over 8 million to support rice farmers, and it's because of the work that BoG is doing with the Sandbox. So this is also important for me to highlight. And then he mentioned gold. Now I've tried to summarize 2026, and the acronym I have written is partner. The part is for the bank, the na is for the media. On the bank's part, we are going to protect the stability. We are going to act with discipline and diligence. We remain faithful to the well-being of the people of Ghana and the economy, and we will prioritize consolidation. And so the T part is we will transition into further growth by institutional strengthening. So that is the part. Now this is the part for the media. New partnerships and opportunities. Expand media training and resource the media. And the winner from the competition is going to be taken to the IMF and the World Bank meeting. So it's a year of a partner.
Can we have the media respond to those two?
Yes. We agree, don't we?
Okay.
We agree, don't we? We do. Thank you so much, Governor.
Well, Kojo, thank you so much. As partners in information, accountability, and public trust, I know that the media and financial community play a very important role in shaping these narratives. And it's important that we have advocacy groups. And so we have some goodwill messages coming up shortly. The first from the president of the Ghana Journalists Association. If he's here, please kindly come up right with a round of applause. Please,
Mr. President,
Mr. President
Jumfo
Albert Kwabna Jumfo. Please, you give us a few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The Governor of the Bank of Ghana kindly permit me to align myself with the already established protocols. And I wish I'd spoken before you so that you would have responded unfiltered. But once we've spoken, we'll make it brief. Let me start by commending the team at Bank of Ghana, especially you and your able team, for turning things around as we hear you say, and for ensuring fiscal discipline. This is one thing that we need to commend you so much. More importantly, for also ensuring a single-digit inflation, which is very historic, and the fact that the cedi is now appreciating against the dollar, that is also good. We are very much aware of the obstacles that sometimes hinders the progress, especially from the part of the media, in terms of the misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. That I believe that we can cure this. We can ensure accurate and factual reporting together through constant training, capacity building workshops, which you've been doing. And I must say that you rightly said that this is the first time we are having the governance New Year encounter or engagement. And so in the past, we know there is something that was being done for IFEDG and the Journalists for Business Advocacy. This time you have expanded. You've widened the tentacles, and we have the movers and shakers here. We want to call on you that even though we've been doing it, can we enhance the training programs for journalists, and especially for editors and also the political show host. Most of the time, you target the financial and business reporters. Let's go beyond that, because we need to be informed to be able to inform. As the link or the bridge between the citizens and the government and your institution, there's the need for us to understand the policy framework, what you do. When we even say fiscal and physical, people do not even know the difference. The technical words, to understand it, to break it down to the ordinary Ghanaians, because we control the heart and minds of the people. And also from our side, we will also need you to at least form a rapid response team like the hospitals does. Because before a journalist puts something out there, should be able to fact check. And in fact checking, we should have what? Easily what? We should be easily accessible. If we are able to connect or get you, I believe that will minimize or mitigate some of this misinformation. But if we find it difficult, it becomes challenging in assessing anybody or reaching anybody from the Bank of Ghana to ensure that at least we fact check whatever information we have. It will continue to remain, because I know that there is one menace that we need to cure. And we have to collaborate. I know we have found journalists, find senior colleagues here who can help in doing that, so that we can reach out and get the needed clarification and fact check most of the information we have before we put out there. Again, let me also commend you and your team. Thank you profusely on behalf of the GG and the media for all the support you've been giving us over the years. Last year, you did wonderfully well, and we are most grateful. We believe that we will continue to support the growth of the media. You will continue to contribute to the growth of the media in diverse ways. Because as journalists, all we need is that let's constantly engage. What we need is dedication, the sensitization, this engagement. I believe I was told that this platform is not meant to address some issues. I'm aware that some of my colleagues, or most of our colleagues here, have some lingering questions. They have lingering issues. More issues they would have brought to the attention of the governors and then the management. But for this one, we'll let it slide. We hope you'll be waiting for the more engaging one, where we can put before you some concerns, some observations, so that we can speak to them. So together, we can what? We can build a formidable Bank of Ghana. We can rely on us. We can count on the media any day, any time, to ensure that professionally we discharge our duty to support the growth of the bank. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. This was really loaded with burdens, and I know our able governors will lift them all. And so next is GIBA, Ghana Institute Independent Broadcasters Association. Please, can we have the president here, Sir Abdullahi Awudu? Please, let's give him a round of applause. Okay, right. Should I use this?
Good evening, Governor and Deputy Governors, advisors and directors of the Bank of Ghana. Good evening to my media fraternity. Mr. Governor, thank you very much for this invitation. For us, it foreshadows what is to come. You know, in film and drama, we have something called Chekhov's gun. If you show the gun in Act 1, the gun must be used in Act 3. So already, this first meeting foreshadows what is to come, the deeper engagement that is to come. I see that the central theme of today is contextual effective communication and its powerful role in ensuring that the message is clear and unambiguous. I walk away knowing that we must collaborate deeper, we must collaborate better, we must develop the capacity of our media personnel to understand the context when they are reporting. In a media market, you know, like ours, hundreds of TV stations, hundreds of radio stations dotted across the Ghana, almost 87 to 90% of them broadcasting in local language. This is a Herculean task if we want to begin to let people understand the context and how they communicate issues around the bank. So engagements must be decentralized across the country. Capacity building, we must try and decentralize that. We must work together to build the capacity of people. And we know that the Bank of Ghana will be very interested in working with us at GIBA to build capacity across the country, because people are consuming media in every nook and cranny from little stations, and those people are not seated here today. I know the big guys are here. They report on some national platforms, but people consume their news on local radio stations, community radio stations, local language stations, that we must find a way of building the capacity of those people in how they report about financial matters. We thank you very much for your invitation, and we'll continue the engagement to build a more stronger relationship. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for your thoughtful message. Next up is Primpag. Please, can we give it up for Mr. David Sichofet Temaklo?
Thank you. When I was coming, my colleagues were saying, hurry up, don't say too much, you need to go home. Thank you very much. On behalf of the Private Newspaper and Online Publishers Association, I wish to express gratitude to the Bank of Ghana, the governor, and the leadership of the bank. I think this program is a recognition of the recognition that the shared responsibility of educating the public is both ways. All of us have to collaborate and educate the public. We all have witnessed the progress made by the bank the past couple of years, the months, and we are all feeling the effects of it. To sustain it, definitely we have to continue the education. We have to help the media build capacity to inform the public. The sustenance of what you have done would rely on how much we inform the public and how much the public trusts you. Without saying much, we thank you very much, and we actually accept your challenge. We hope that next year we all would be beneficiaries of more of this support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And thank you, GJA President. Thank you, GIBA President. Thank you very much, Mr. President. And Doc, Governor, we spent a minute, we observed a minute of silence for our friend Elom Desewu, who passed on the 25th of December. Around the same time, we also lost the administrator for the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association. She was somebody known to all of us in the media fraternity. And I want to join the minute of silence to Gloria Hayaji as well, who served all of us diligently. She would have been here if she hadn't passed on. So thank you very much for remembering our fallen brother and sister. Now at this point, we are going to have the closing remarks. And you see, there was this gentleman who was very popular in school. So his friends called him Ayoa. Very popular, very smart. You would go to him to solve all your problems, assignments, school problems, food. So his friends called him Ayoa because he was in everybody's face, everybody's ear, voice of reason. When it comes to chilling too, he was a person. Now Ayoa becomes a paramount chief. And the boys go there to go and visit him in his palace. They knock on the gates and, Yeshisha Ayoa, Yeshisha Ayoa. And the Abrafor come, the executioners come, holding their weapons. Who is Ayoa? See, oh, no, my friend Ayoa, and then the man came, and then he looked at the Abrafor and he said, please calm down, stay execution, because these are my people.
One degree, one child, you know.
This week on the KelPO Show, we sit down with a true leader in education, Professor Naba Apia Amfo, Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana.
At the University of Ghana, there's so much talent, and my job is to ensure that, you know, I harness all of these talents and provide an enabling environment for these talents.